Hello everyone. Today we're going to make a meatloaf. This is a southern comfort food that everybody likes, and I've tried some different things and played with it a little bit, but this was what works best for me. So I'm going to show you what I put in mine. This is breadcrumbs, probably about a half a cup. This is chopped celery. All these things build levels of flavor. Bell pepper. These are shredded or chopped carrots. Onions. Well, we're going to dump it all in there. Okay, I like, instead of adding tomato sauce, I add tomato paste because I like the flavor of tomato in my meatloaf. Give it some tomato paste. This is my beef. It's just the powdered beef base. That's what I want to say. We're going to add a little bit of that in there. Then I put Tony's. A little bit of garlic in here. All these things in here, these are levels of flavor. If you try it, you'll thank me later. Now I got some room to mix this. It needs a little bit more salt. So I'll add that in. Now I will add my eggs. We'll get this in a pan and we'll be back. Okay, so you put your meatloaf in the pan, you shape it. I just dump it in there and I make it, I don't like for it to be too thick because then it takes longer to cook, but I do pack my meatloaf. I don't want holes in it when it's cooking. Some people leave it soft. I pack mine. I just sprinkle it a little bit so I get all these air pockets out of it. Shape it the way you want it, if you want it wider or narrower. I try and keep it all, like the ends, I don't let them stick out. You don't want it to cook. You don't want your ends done before the other pieces. So I keep it all uniform in size. I'll show you what else we're going to do in a second. The meatloaf is cooking. I have cut and peeled some potatoes. They're all uniform in size, and we start them in cold water. You can add salt or you can add chicken base. I'm going to do salt. So those are the potatoes. A can of tomato sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And I put a piece of celery in there just because I want it to simmer into there and give it that flavor. That is the sauce for the meatloaf. I'm going to add about the beef base into my tomato sauce. I also put maybe a teaspoon of sugar. See? That's going to be our sauce for our meatloaf. So while it's simmering and getting together, the potatoes are on. Then I also have some green beans over here. These are canned green beans. And remember I told you about the ham base that I like. This is the ham base, better than bouillon. This is the best ever. But it is very high in salt. I'm going to put a dab in there. And I put onion powder. This is going in my green beans. Garlic powder. I use a generous amount. And I also add, I keep all my bacon grease when I fry bacon in the freezer. So maybe a tablespoon. That's going in there. And then when they cook down, green beans only take 5-6 minutes. Once they get hot, the seasoning, if you overcook those canned green beans, they get mushy and they tear up. So when that grease melts and all and they get hot, we will check and see if they need some salt. My potatoes are fork tender. I'm going to add some butter. So I've got them mashed up the way I want them. I'm going to add a little bit of milk. Just a little at a time. I think I got this at the consistency I like. Maybe just a little bit more milk. So that's the consistency I want. Okay, now I'm going to taste it just to see if we got enough salt. Needs a little more salt. So potatoes are done. My sauce for the meatloaf, I just let it simmer, so that piece of celery I had in there for the flavor, I'm going to remove that. So my sister's waiting on a plate, and I thought, well, I'll just dish it up on a takeout tray. But here we go, meatloaf. Look how moist and juicy. Mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, and a buttered roll. Dinner, y'all. You gotta try this.